Okay. Ah, yes, a few more viewers, that's good. I'll close this anyway, I think. Okay, you can hear me and see the screen. That's cool. Yeah, we might get other viewers. I mean, I have subscribers and I get a notification. We might have random viewers. Why not? Okay. So the other program I just showed, we will skip this, I think. Let's get to the actual project. So this is the database. We could check out the project pitch here. This is the pitch document I sent to various people. It's not that old. Okay, so symbolism. It's one kind of AI. There are at least 5 kinds of AI, and symbolism is one of them. Symbolism means we try to use actual words, characters, sentences, wherever we can. We're not restricted to using only characters, but we stick to them a lot. As opposed to maybe neural networks where we convert everything into a number. In neural networks, they only work on numbers. So it's already the first trick to convert text into a number. But we don't do that, we try to stick with text. And we have text in the database and we have patterns in the database. And many, many other things. We can also put any other kind of object in the database. A few of these are listed here. Procedures and statements. So the idea is that the database contains procedures you can run, it contains data you can use, and it contains like logical statements. Like one statement could say function X works well on input of type Y. So statements could be descriptions of things that work well, for example. Or another statement could be we need to improve this part of that code. Anything we can come up with in the development, we can also put into the database. So the AI has a chance to understand what's actually happening. And there are other concepts, for example, scenarios. Scenarios are descriptions of situations. Let's see some examples maybe. What happens if I look for scenario? Oh yeah, I get some stuff. For example, there's a task that says convert to scenario. That means I have any input that somebody says something and we want to convert it to a scenario. Yeah, there's lots of stuff already. Actually, the Skype, everything we say in Skype also gets into this database. Let's look at the list of inputs. Every input is like a line of text or more text. Every input is one of these objects called input. Type is input. And yeah, what's this, for example? Somebody put this text in the database. I'm guessing it's maybe spam. Or is it just a test for something? I don't even know. You can click here on input source and see where it's coming from. That looks like a normal browser. Yeah, somebody typed this into an input field, I think. Very recently. And here there's input, but the Skype bot is maybe not working. We have a bot that converts every Skype input on the group into an input here, but it breaks sometimes because the Skype interface is like hacky. There's no official interface for Skype bots, I think. So somebody hacked something together. And this is definitely old input. Is it showing the new input first? Yes. So, okay, Skype bot broken. we have to put that in. So generally in the database, what does BEA mean? BEA means actually nothing really. Gazelle is the name of the project since a long time ago, in different iterations. Here is the jumping gazelle, and BEA just is the name of the latest sub-project. I think block element architecture was the definition, but it doesn't mean much and it doesn't really matter. I just made some name up. I needed a name here because these type of objects have a certain, they have certain properties. Generally, the idea in this is you can put any field in any object. In a normal database, you have a list of fixed fields, right? A normal SQL database has a number of fields defined, like these here, but not here. Here you can use any field, and you can use any type, for example. I could put something here, type to do, why not? And field name is what, and here I have different types, and I can say what is to do, fix the Skype bot, because the Skype bot is currently broken. And like this I can just save it, nobody stops me from it, and it's perfectly fine. I get an ID for the object, and here's the object. What, fix the Skype bot, ID, some random ID, type to do, created by me, and there's also a date of creation, but it's not shown. So we can find out when this was created. So now if you look for to do, you should find this object here, fix the Skype bot. The fields kind of jump around a bit because in this list it has to collect all the fields and all the objects shown. So the what field is now all the way on the right. It's not always looking so pretty, but here's our object. There are many types of objects that have special meaning though. Let's go here. These are all the object types we have so far. Input is a big one, we have lots of inputs. Input source tells us where an input came from. Word type, what is this? Oh yeah, we collected some words, like verbs, like these. And we made an object for each of these saying that it's a verb. This is also a perfectly valid object. It gives us some information about a word. What else do we have? Yeah, we have patterns. Patterns are obviously very important. And they normally look like this, with the asterisks. This is a variable and this something, comma something, and so on. That's the pattern. And if the pattern has been matched to some input, it will also list here. Let's try the query. If you go to query, you can input some data, some text. Blue, green, and so on. This input should match the pattern we just looked at, right? This one here. This one should match this input. Be quiet, phone. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, and it's the first pattern it finds. And this is the mapping it made. Blue, first variable, green, second variable, and so on. And now we can say this was a good match. And it will be stored as a good match. And there are similar patterns which also match. This pattern also matches, there are different patterns. And now the match also has an object in the database. This match between the pattern and the input is itself an object with type match. It links to the pattern, it links to the input. The mapping is listed. It has an ID and it's labeled as good because I clicked on good match. So this way we can begin to learn which patterns work in which way. So we have many of these patterns. And there's another type of pattern, it's called just pattern. It's the same thing, but it has like categories. Instead of just the asterisks we had. What is a good one? Here. This here. This is a boring one because the categories is 1. This is some automatically generated stuff. To have a... let's look for some nicer patterns with actual categories. Here. Thing got adjective. That's a pattern. I don't know if the query will do this, but we can try. If we put this in the query, stuff got crazy, that should actually match the pattern. Oh yeah, but this procedure is only checking the syntactic patterns. This is the syntactic pattern, asterisk got asterisk, for the other pattern. And there should be a link to the pattern, but it's not there yet. Yeah, the thing we have been focusing on is these syntactic patterns with the asterisks. And later we also want to do these patterns where you get additional information. Once the input is matched, you have new information. The information is that this thing here is in a category thing, and the other thing is maybe in the category adjective. So we have inputs and patterns. And then we have rewrites. And a rewrite is when you have a matched pattern, you change the input. For example, yeah, you find nothing here, I guess. Here, I remember this one. Yeah, the input was an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Here, exactly. That was the input. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Or a doctor away. And the rewrite is to, when you have an apple a day, a doctor will never come. It's an explanation of what the input means in a more AI-ish way, in a more scenario-like way. Because there is a when and there's a condition, and there's a consequent. So this is more like a logical rule you can analyze. So this can be further processed by the AI. And that we can actually try in the query, I think. A scarecrow keeps birds away. Is it in the right pattern? Let's see. I think it is. And it has made a match. The match is good. A scarecrow keeps birds away. That's a good match. Where is our rewrite? If the system works, it should now display when you have a scarecrow, birds will never come. When? Let's see what the match says. Day keeps away. Thing keeps thing away. Yeah, maybe something is not working yet. If I say good match, maybe that helps. Yeah, I'm not seeing the rewrite, sadly. It could have worked. We need more tests for this also. Yeah, but rewrites are very important. Rewrites take one input and make another input out of it, and you can have variables in the input, which are automatically taken care of. And then we can also store all the tasks for the AI in the database. Everything we want the AI to do, big or small, we can make an object here and note it in the database, and then we can have a link in the database to the implementation or to a test or something. Somebody has used the query page, which in the query page, if you type new input, it automatically goes to the database. The database slaps up all the input it gets. Well, and finally we have something older. It's called the forum. It was the last in the internship before the last one. We made this. You can make little text posts. Which, let's see. Here, this was a forum where you can put code in. Let's see. You can put some Java code in here, or JavaX, which is my Java extension, and the code is checked for safety, and it's run in the database on the website. On the website you can put in code and it will be executed. You can put calculations in here, whatever you want. And HTML, you can also make HTML bots. In fact, the homepage of Gazelle is made in such a post. If we say Java Xcode and we create, it will be run automatically. See, there it is already, 15. It has calculated this on the website. I'm not sure if you want to use this. We need some way to put code in the new database. In this database we need a way to put in code that is executed. So I'm still thinking about how to do that, I think. Yeah, there are many other object types useful. If you like something in the database, you can just create an object and call it type useful. Nobody's stopping you from that. We are very relaxed about the rules. You can make up any object type. You can also say type useless if you want that. Pattern lists. Yeah, pattern lists are also important. It's a list of patterns that are tried in order, and you can make a whole parser out of a list of patterns. I'll explain another time. Regular expressions, for example. I don't know who of you knows regular expressions. It's a way to do text processing and replacement, and we have that in here also. Let's see what it does. Yeah, here for example, this one takes all the words like very, highly, extremely, and so on, and just replaces them with nothing. It takes some unneeded words out of input. I wonder why I don't see examples. This should also link to examples. Does it not? Let's see. References. Yeah, here's an example, I think. Yeah, the input was show good examples for a solved AI task. And after processing with the regular expression, the new input is show examples for. So the word good has been dropped. So, and the whole process is stored in this object. So yeah, I think the database will grow a lot over time, and I have to make sure it will stay performant. Right now we have 53,000 objects, 3.5 megabyte on disk, and it takes like 4 seconds to load and 2 seconds to save. It's still okay. I have to reload the database when I update the code. This is still okay, but I mean, if we have 10 times more objects, it might not be okay anymore. We have to keep that in mind. But there's really no way to stop the database from growing, because the whole point is that you store a lot of different objects. You store results of experiments, and you store many things. I think it has to be big, and we have to make search functions. We need a better search function. We need like a form where you can filter for fields. For example, I want to see all the objects I created. So then I would filter by this field, and I think it can be done, but not in a nice way. It doesn't even work, I think. Something like this, but we need a form to do this. Definitely. Finally, there are some lists where you can see what is still missing. An input that has no rewrite, which basically is an input that has not been interpreted. This one, sadly, it didn't work with the rewrite, even though I thought it would. So let's check Let's check if this worked at all. Or if I talked to the wall. Okay, that's good. So you understood things. That's really good. Okay, great. So yeah, one more thing I can show, I think, is the Java program. My great Java program is called Stefan's OS. It's not an operating system, it's just a Java program. I have had to explain many times why I call it an OS, but it's not an operating system. You don't boot from it, you just use Windows or Linux or Mac OS and load the Java program. The answer is because it's a practical question. It's much easier to run a Java program than to boot a new operating system. If I force everybody to boot a new operating system, it makes no sense. They cannot use their programs anymore. It makes absolutely no sense. So I just want to have this program run on a normal desktop. Here it is. And it's called an OS because it runs modules, because you can load modules at runtime from the server actually. So it provides an environment for programs to run. That's why it's called an OS. So you could make it into an OS that you can boot, and I did similar things years ago, but it's not really a point. And it looks like this. It remembers your session, so if you restart it, it will try to put all the windows again in the way they were before. And you can load lots of modules from here. And this is the list of all modules on the server. So if I want any new, is there, oh, celebrate new computer, yeah. There's one module that shows an applause animation when somebody new loads my operating system. Because it's all anonymous, but it has a list of computer IDs. If you start the program, it sends this ID to the server. It's random ID. There's no further information, nothing. It's just that one computer with a random ID is online. If they allow, you can send them stuff, but if they don't, nothing happens. But if there's a new ID never seen before, then there's one module that shows an animation to celebrate. And if I click on it here, I can also type up here to search for modules. It will download the module the first time. And the next time it's faster if I do it again. It's instantly because it's all already downloaded. And you can check all the source code. For every module you can click on source code and you see the JavaX source code, which is usually quite short. Here is the source code. I think it should still work, but we can't see it right now. I'll leave it running. I can modernize it a bit. I always improve my language, so in my JavaX is the language I use. It's my own dialect, and I always improve it. So now this here is shortened to this. I can simply write this. So in the newer version, I can save space, and this makes it smaller. And I think that was it. And I can actually compile it if I have the rights to change this module. And yes, the operating system does a lot of stuff automatically. For example, here is the number is sold. It stores the number of computers that are known, I think. Why didn't it show the number though? That was stupid. The idea is to show the number here, but it only says empty. That sounds wrong. Maybe I did need to recompile it. This is a very old module. Sometimes they do break. I had a server name change and stuff. Yeah, the server name changed. This is very old module. So here's the working version. And the idea is you can make a field in a module like this, and it will be persisted automatically. The operating system takes all the fields and stores them. So if you restart the session or something, you get all your data back without doing anything. You could put any type here. There could be strings, there could be maps, there could be lists of something. Anything, and pretty much, and it will store this for you. That's what the operating system does. That's why it's an operating system. And yeah, it would be cool if you actually can try to run this on your computer. Maybe we will need this. Maybe not, maybe we will. I swear it doesn't break anything. It's all open source. You can read the source code if you want. It's not malware. It's open source. Actually, all the modules are downloaded in source code. So when you get a new module, it doesn't download the bytecode. It downloads the raw source code. Not the one we saw, but actually this one. The one transpiled to Java. So this shortcode, there's lots of functions we don't define. But all these functions are grabbed from the library and put into one long program. So this is the source code of the module in simple Java. So you could theoretically just could read this and check it for malicious code or anything. So it always downloads the source code, compiles the source code, and then runs it. And it's pretty dynamic. It also has an eval, so you can put Java code just in here, in this eval module. Reversed. Oh, this is really hard. What is the reverse of this? Yes, hello world, there it is. We can also show it in bigger. Yeah. And there is speech recognition built in. At least 2 versions are shipped with this. One is the Google recognition, which is kind of tricky. It is using Chrome. This is a Chrome window. And it's, yes. Hello Google. Are you always listening? Yeah, whatever. That's so good. You are the best recognition. Stop listening. Yeah, so the thing is, Google is the best recognition, and I have found this trick to have it listen all the time and use the results here. I have not found out if you can leave it on for like 5 hours or 10 hours. I tried, it always worked. It could always be that if you leave this running all the time, they might stop your connection. I've never seen it happen though. Because what we want is actually like something like Alexa. We want an assistant that always listens. So I made some trick. The trick is that it listens for noise, and if you make some noise, then it starts to Google. It's not perfect, but it kind of works. It's still an open question, because Google really has the best recognition. The other thing we have is Wit AI, which is actually free, but you have to click to start it. Hello Wit AI. Now it's sending, yeah. See, it's not even as good. You are not so smart. That worked. Wit AI works, but I think with speech recognition you want the best usually. Once you try the best, there's no going back. I would really love to have Google recognition all the time, because it's just the best one. But either way, it ends up here, and in any module you can process the audio or the speech. The processed speech can be sent somewhere for processing. This is a volume meter. This is some stats. This is the memory used by my operating system. If you click on it, it makes a garbage collection. This is the free memory, and this is the free space on the disk. This is pretty big. Usually it doesn't take that much space. Why does it take 670 megabytes? It's a bit too much. I could restart, or I could find memory leaks. That's an actual special function for this. So the whole web server, this is the web server. It's based on the same thing. I run the same operating system on my servers also. It's a Ubuntu server, and it has a desktop, and here it's looking for the memory leak. And this is my web server. I have domains and map them to modules. So I can use the desktop on my web server. It's pretty nice. Every server should have this. Many people only have like a shell interface, but I think having a desktop beats everything. So much easier. Yeah, this is a Gazelle server. There are at least 2 other servers. Oh yeah, the leak finder. No memory leaks, okay. So maybe just some big modules are loaded. I used to have a module for this, but in newer Java versions it has some problems, I think. Yeah. Java introduced new rules for reflection, which is kind of stupid. Yeah, it doesn't look big, but somehow we have 780 megabytes. Probably restarting the OS will just make it small again. Okay, anyway, yeah, we can also edit stuff in here. There's a whole code editor and everything. So maybe we will need this, so I advise you to install it. I will post the link in the chat. Yeah, I think these were the first important ideas. So in the end we will make lots of these objects, and we will make pages where we can find the objects again, and we will make them do things, add some code to them. But the whole world will be described in objects like this. It's one simple idea. The simple idea is to have any number of fields in any object. It's simple but very effective. Okay, I guess I could stop the stream.